This is John Ward, welcoming you to another presentation of Tennessee football on home video. The story you're about to see unfold is one of adventure and achievement. It's the story of teamwork, commitment, and the will to win.
Doesn't need a lot of... Oh! He took a weapon!
Welcome back, y'all. It's day 2 of game week, and today we're going to be breaking down Tennessee's offense versus Georgia's defense. I know a lot of people's question is what happens if Nico can't play in this game. We will get to that at the end, but please do us a very big favor. Make sure to like and subscribe to the channel. All right, y'all, let's look at this matchup on paper. We'll be starting off with the stats like we always do. Tennessee's total offense is ranked number 8. Georgia's total defense is ranked number 13. Tennessee's scoring offense is ranked number 15. And Georgia's scoring defense is ranked number 16. Now, just as far as the sacks given up for Tennessee, we're ranked number 72, giving up about 2 sacks per game. And Georgia's sack defense is ranked number 41. They're getting about 2.3 sacks per game. Onto the passing numbers, Tennessee's passing offense is ranked number 59. Georgia's passing defense is ranked number 36. Rushing, Tennessee is ranked number 9. Georgia's ranked number 21. This is a place I can tell you right here, right now. We'll talk more about it towards the end, but this is a place that I think Tennessee needs to try to live at, more times than not. I think that we need to try to lean on our running game with multiple running backs. Now let's go on down to the third down numbers. Tennessee's third down offense is ranked number 39, and Georgia's third down defense is actually ranked number 6. So could be some issues here, but again, we will talk about it at the end, some things that I think Tennessee could do to find success versus Georgia on third downs. Now let's come on down to the red zone numbers. Tennessee's red zone offense is ranked number 111. Let me tell y'all this right here, right now. All those missed field goals from a couple of games ago, that is going to kill our numbers. You cannot get into the red zone and not score at least 3 points. So that's why it looks the way that it looks. I don't think that we have any major issues down here. We just got to be able to make the field goals whenever we get into this sort of a situation. But Georgia's red zone defense is ranked number 91. So it's actually not that much better than Tennessee's red zone offense. On down to the turnovers, Tennessee's ranked number 59 and Georgia is ranked number 67. Now let's take a look at the key defensive players for Georgia. Starting off with C.J. Allen. He is an inside linebacker listed at 6'1", 235 pounds. He's a sophomore, and he's going to be number 3 on their roster. He's leading the team in tackles with 49. He has 1 pass breakup and 1 interception. So this is a guy that, he's not the typical Georgia linebacker that I'm sure most people probably think of whenever you think about Georgia linebackers. He doesn't do the best job of getting into his run fits. He's not the fastest guy, even though he is a good athlete. Definitely not the biggest guy. I think that we can run the football right at him. He hasn't shown that savviness to, be able to beat blocks either with speed or with strength. For the most part, I think that we'll have a good time running the ball at him. Also, he's not that great in coverage. We saw what Ole Miss did to Georgia's linebackers specifically last weekend. He's one of the guys that is a liability in coverage. They'll also use him to try to spy quarterbacks. I don't think that he's that good of an athlete to be able to spy a guy like Nico. So I think that we should find some success versus C.J. Allen. The next player is going to be Malachi Starks. He's a safety listed at 6'1", 205 pounds. He is a junior. He's going to be number 24. He's tied for the lead in tackles with 49. He also has 1 pass breakup and 1 interception. So it's the exact same stat line as C.J. Allen. Now, Malachi is a guy that people have looked at and said, hey, this is a potential, top 10 sort of a draft pick. He's a first rounder, et cetera, et cetera. I don't see that whenever I'm watching him. Not this season. Maybe if you look over the course, of his time at Georgia, you could see some of those things. But I think that he's a major liability in pass coverage, especially if he's playing man-to-man. That will bring him up and play kind of like nickel, almost like a cornerback. And he just has not looked good there. Also doesn't look great getting into his run fits. He gets blocked consistently, and he's missed several tackles this season. So he's another player that I think Tennessee can and will target in this game. I would love to see us get him isolated with some guys, maybe like a Squirrel White, but really somebody like a Brew or, even a Dante. If we could get that sort of a matchup, or really even a Chaz Nimrod, I think all those guys that are just a little bit bigger because he is physical at the line of scrimmage, if we can get those guys matched up with Malachi Starks, then I think that we should be off to the races. So the next player is going to be Jalen Walker. He is a linebacker. He can play inside and outside. Listed at 6'2", 245 pounds. He's a junior. He's going to be number 11. He has 41 tackles, leading the team in sacks with 4.5. He has 1 pass breakup and 2 fumble recoveries. So inside, outside guy. He has good size. I think that he has good speed. He shows that he can get after that passer, definitely twitchy. He does a pretty good job of taking on blocks and things like that at the point of contact, but he also can miss his run fits, especially playing on the inside. I've seen him get blocked consistently. I've seen him get taken down to the ground. I've seen him miss tackles. So he might be the best overall linebacker for Georgia, especially if you're talking about a guy that can play inside and outside. But I think that Tennessee will find success running the football at Jalen Walker. Now, the next player that we're going to be talking about is Chaz Chambliss. He's an outside linebacker listed at 6'2", 250 pounds. He is a senior. He's going to be number 32 on the season. He has 28 tackles and 3.5 sacks. He's going to be at second place for sacks. So this is a guy that I think has a lot of twitchiness to him. You know what I mean? He's got a good first step. He plays with a really high motor. You can tell that he understands what a team is trying to do to him. Very disciplined, but he hasn't done the best job of setting those edges, whether that's on some sweeps or if it's on some read options and things like that. I've also seen him get blocked on a pretty consistent basis, especially for our team last season. We will talk more about that towards the end. But I think that he's a guy that Tennessee is going to have to identify where he's at and either put him in some sort of a conflict with the read option, make him have to, guess or, kind of beat him with the speed to the outside, or just run the football right at him. I think that we'll find a lot of success doing things like that. Now, the last player that we're going to be talking about today is going to be Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. I hope that I'm saying his name right, but he is a defensive lineman listed at 6'5", 280 pounds. He's a redshirt junior. He's number 93 on the season. He has 15 tackles, 3 sacks, and 1 pass breakup. Now, he's got a lot of twitch to him, okay? He is a dude. I'll tell you that right here, right now. Does a pretty solid job in run support, but he can also get after that passer. He's going to play with a really high motor. He's got some nice pass rush moves. So our guys are going to have to identify where he's at, make sure that we're blocking him. But I've also seen him get moved off of the spot, only 280 pounds. So, we should be able to move him with just one person. But especially on those double teams, he really does have a tendency to get moved. So I think that we just have to scheme things up properly, and we should find success running it on his side. And hopefully, we can slow him down as a pass rusher. All right, now let's jump into Pro Football Focus and take a look at some of these pass rush numbers from Georgia's front. We'll be starting off at the top with the man that we just spoke about, Tyrion Ingram Dawkins. You can see that he's probably the most consistent pass rusher on Georgia's team. Now, it says that he's an edge, but he's not really an edge. He's going to be a hand down in the dirt defensive lineman that can kind of come from the outside, but also from the inside. He's more of a defensive tackle within this scheme, as most people understand what a defensive tackle is. But either way, okay, he has 3 sacks this season. He has 1 hit, 13 hurries, and he's winning at about 8%. So I think that that's, pretty impressive. Now, the next player, Nazir Stackhouse, this is a big dude, and he is a dude playing on the inside, but he's not that much of a pass rusher. He only has 1 sack. He has 2 hits, 3 hurries, and he's only winning at 2.3%. Next player, Christian Miller, number 52. He's winning at about 9.4%. He has no sacks, but he does have 12 hurries and 1 hit. Next player, Damon Wilson Jr., he's going to be number 10. He's another edge guy, and now he's going to be more of a true edge guy that's, kind of a stand-up linebacker, but he's winning at 8% on pass rushes. He has 1 sack, 4 hits, 16 hurries, and Jalen Walker. This is a guy that a lot of people have spoken about. Obviously, we talked about him today. He's winning at 17.4%. That is very impressive. 3 sacks on the season, 5 hits, 10 hurries, and this is a guy that we definitely have to try to block. Now, Mykel Williams, he's, a potential first-round draft pick. I've even heard Mel Kiper say that he might be a potential top 10 draft pick. He's got good size. He has all the tools. He's winning at 9.4%. He has 3 sacks on the season, 3 hits, 6 hurries. Now, I don't know how true that 3 sacks on the season actually is. I think it's closer to like 1 or 2. But either way, we all know the Pro Football Focus has been giving Georgia credit for things that they haven't rightfully earned. So actually, some of these other stats could be off as well. But y'all can see how things look, right? I'm not going to go through all this. Chaz Chambliss, okay? They're giving him credit for 5 sacks, but we only saw 3.5. So curious as to where, the other 1.5 sacks are coming from. But he's winning at about 8.9%. We talked about him. He is number 32. He really is going to be an edge guy. He is an outside linebacker. But, he is going to be productive, I think, in getting after that passer. But we had success blocking him last season. So this is about how things look for their front. We can come down here and look and see how many sacks his Pro Football Focus giving him credit for a total on the season. They're saying 21. Again, I don't know how accurate that is. I don't think that it is accurate. But, yeah, they do have some guys up front that can get after the passer. But it's definitely, it's not necessarily out of the norm of what Tennessee has been seeing within SEC play. Next thing that I want to show y'all is Georgia's pass blitz tendencies. We're not going to spend too much time on this, but I think that it is important to get an idea of how Georgia is going to look just as far as bringing different pressures, to our offense. So up at the top, we can see that within their nickel base, which is what we're going to be seeing most of in this game, okay? That's what most teams run for the majority of football games. But their nickel is a 3-3-5. And we talked about this some yesterday, that for it to be a true blitz, you need to bring 5 people. So inside of a 3-3-5, you are going to blitz more times than not because you've got to bring at least 4 on most plays. So it's saying that Georgia pass blitzes 46% of the time, out of this nickel base. But again, how many of those blitzes are true blitzes? I'm going to tell you right now, it is not very many. So let's come on down to their base, which Tennessee is not going to see very much of in this game, but we could see some. Their base is going to be a 3-4 or a 4-3. That's more of a run-heavy set, and they're blitzing about 74% of the time out of that. So we have to be very mindful of that. If we get into some heavier personnels, we're going to have to know, hey, look, we can play action, throw the ball, over the middle or down the field, and it should be there. Next is going to be dime, which is just 6 defensive backs. And inside of this personnel, it's looking like Georgia's blitzing about 30% of the time or 29% of the time. We will see some of this dime package, I'm sure, coming up this week. And I'll also just scroll down here for those of y'all that want to take a look at the different blitzes based off of the coverage for Georgia. Y'all can just kind of, pause this and go through it on your own time. All right, last thing that we'll be looking at today is going to be Georgia's coverage. And y'all can see right here that Pro Football Focus has their entire defense's coverage rated as a 25. That's the lowest coverage grade that I've ever seen on Pro Football Focus, but I take it with a grain of salt, okay? It's probably not that bad. But this part right here, okay, what we're looking at are the players that have been targeted the most just in pass coverage. Now, this could be secondary players, it could be linebackers, whom have you. But up at the top, we see that Dalen Everett is the person for us to go to. He's given up 32 catches on the season, and he is allowing completions at about 73%. The next highest is going to be Malachi Starks. We talked about him in coverage. Not that great. He's given up 19 catches on the season. He is allowing passes to be caught at 63%. Then we've got Julian Humphrey, who is a corner. He's going to be number 12. He's given up 15 catches this season, and he's allowing passes to be caught on him at 55.6%. Now, that's not horrible. If you're somewhere in the 50s as a secondary player or in coverage period, that's going to be pretty solid. But, really more so with the guys in the secondary who are going to be getting targeted a lot more than the linebackers and players like that. Next, we have KJ Bolden. That is a beautiful boy. I think that he's having a solid season. He's only given up 13 catches so far as a true freshman. So at about 59%, I think that that's pretty solid for him. CJ Allen, who's, one of the linebackers, we talked about him earlier today. He is going to be number 3. He's given up 13 catches, and he is allowing passes to be caught on him at 65%. So we're not going to go through every single body, but I just wanted for y'all to get an idea of what you're looking at with this. And I'll scroll down some because I know that people want to be able to look and see how everyone looks on here. So we will do that for y'all. But that's going to be it for this portion of it. Let's go ahead and get into my final thoughts. All right, y'all. Now let me break down everything that we just talked about in layman's terms. And we will touch on how this matchup is going to look if you guys some more is our starting quarterback. So first and foremost, we all know going down to Athens is going to be loud. There's playoff implications really for both teams. College game days there, all that good stuff. It is going to be a night game. And the last time that we were in Athens, I don't think that was a night game, but it was kind of wet, whatever. But we had several false start penalties. We need to find a way to overcome that this season. And Georgia does this weird, late shift with their front 4 that I think should be some sort of a penalty just based off of the way that they do it. So Coach Heupel needs to, pregame talk to the referees and let him know that at least we're watching that, and maybe it'll make them call it if it does end up drawing us off sides. But we have several guys on this team that were in Athens the last time that we went there. So they're going to understand what to expect from that aspect. But just as far as looking at this defense on film, on the field, it's obviously not the 2021 and 2022 Georgia defense. I think we all know that. But even just comparing their defense this season to last season's, what I've noticed is this season's defense, the linebackers in the secondary have taken several steps back. Their front 4 has taken maybe half a step back. If not, it's on par with what it was last season. But Tennessee's offensive line last year was down 3 to 4 of our starting offensive linemen throughout the course of that game. And we got good movement on Georgia's front from the first to the second level. So I would expect that this season, with a much healthier Tennessee offensive line, hopefully Andre Carrick can go. I think that, and really from top to bottom, the entire offensive line has taken big steps forward from last season. I think that we'll find some good movement. Also, we could talk about our tight ends. We have 2 of them that are really good as far as run blocking goes, but Ethan Davis, he's kind of like a hit or miss with the run blocking, but he's from Georgia, so is Holden Stays. So the tight ends should have a really nice day just as far as blocking and also going out making catches, making plays in front of their friends and family, things like that. So I think that Tennessee can lean on their running game. And what I've also noticed with Georgia throughout the course of the season is teams that have run the football 32 times or more versus their defense have either had very close games versus Georgia or they've beat Georgia. So Tennessee's definitely going to run the football more than that. I'm thinking we're going to be 40 or more times. We'll see how does that skew some of those numbers. Is it, does it get to a point where you're running the football too much and then it kind of works, in Georgia's favor? I don't really think so, just because we got guys like D. Sam, who we hope is going to be healthy, who we know if he is healthy enough to go, he's going to ball out. Just hold on to the football. That's all I'm asking for him to do. But, also Bishop, is he going to be healthy enough to go? Because he's going to run hard. He's going to want to, prove a point because he was doubted, his entire time in high school and everything else. But also Peyton Lewis, he's looked good. Are we going to trust him down in Athens? I think that we should. There's no reason not to. Then we've got Cam Seldon, who I think can also ball. So we've got plenty of running backs. Hopefully everyone is healthy that can run behind a really solid offensive line that's going up against a Georgia front that is, they're not world beaters by any means. But also, Georgia has had a problem with quarterbacks running. So I know the people are asking, is Gastineau a good enough athlete to be a problem versus Georgia's defense? Well, the problem with Georgia's defense is Kirby Smart wanted to copycat Nick Saban, and Nick Saban's defense has always had problems stopping mobile quarterbacks. So it's not just about Georgia's defense this season. They've always had a problem with it, and they probably always will unless they switch some things up. But I think that Gastineau is as good of an athlete as Jackson Dart is. If not, he's very, very close. Jackson Dart was Ole Miss's leading rusher last week. So if Gastineau does play, that read option game is going to be there. Georgia's linebackers, their secondary players, they fall for the misdirection stuff. They're almost overly disciplined, like disciplined to a fault. So it's not even about them, running for a whole bunch of yards on the ground. It's just about having the threat of the quarterback being able to use their legs. That would slow down their linebackers, slow down their safeties just enough for us to, hand the football off to the running back and them have a little bit more room to run. That's what it's all about. It's more about the guy that's crashing from the backside being able to make stops on our running backs in the backfield. As long as we can keep the backside guy from, crashing down real hard, we can run the football, I think, on Georgia very, very effectively, and I'm looking forward to that. Now, outside of that, okay, let's talk some about Tennessee's passing game. Like we've touched on, the pass protection was really good for us last season versus Georgia. As a matter of fact, they got the least amount of pressure on Tennessee last season than any other team that they've played. But also, Tennessee's offense is totally different from any other team that they've played. So they're going to play us a little bit different. Now, this is a 3-3-5 defense that we've seen several times. They will kind of show that Arkansas look because they showed that last season. I think actually Arkansas might have stole that from Georgia, where they've got 5 guys playing deep. And you're just going to have to find ways to run the football or throw it underneath. But again, man, the game plan was beautiful. We had 3 to 4 touchdowns that we missed down the field. So we're just going to have to be accurate with the passes. It really wasn't all on Joe Milton. The wide receivers dropped some passes, things like that. But the wide receivers this season, they're going to be huge. I think that our tight ends are also going to be very, very big because Georgia's, linebackers are terrible in pass coverage. So our, tight ends should be that safety blanket for either Nico or for Gaston if they get into a bind where we can just dump it off to them and, let them get 5, 6, 7 yards or maybe even more if they're out there making plays, which is what we would expect. But as far as the wide receivers go, we're hoping that Dante can be healthy for this game. We're hoping that he will go because he's going to be, obviously this entire season, he's been our best wide receiver, but we need him because he's shown that he will show up in those big moments. But also we know that Brew is a dog. He's going to show up in these moments as well. Who else do we have? Squirrel. He's got to stay on his feet. Okay. He's going to be open down the field. He's got to stay on his feet. But really, I think that Chris Brassel is the main one that I think about who I want to see a lot more physicality from. There's no reason that people are getting the better of him physically because he's tall, right? He's long, 6'5". His wingspan's got to be close to about 7 feet. He can jump and high point footballs, but he's strong too. He just doesn't play like it. He needs to be a lot more physical, almost to the point like, dude, I don't care if you get, an offensive pass interference, especially early on, dude. Like, you need to be bullying this Georgia secondary because that's what they're going to try to do to you. So if he comes into this game with that mindset and, plays like that, plays like the dog that we all know that he is, and not just him, but again, all of our wide receivers, Tennessee can find a lot of success making catches down the field because last season we had several people that were open. We just schemed things up in a very beautiful way. Now, something else that I want to touch on that I didn't touch on with our running game, but I need to kind of circle back to that real quick. But the jet sweeps, okay, trying to hit Georgia on the edges. And I want for y'all to also pay attention to this if you watch college football or pro football. That's hitting this season on all levels. It's just there. Tennessee needs to run, I would say, several jet sweeps. And I'm not talking about, hey, let's run some wide receiver screens because that's like a jet sweep. No. We need to run jet sweeps or, something like that. And it will be there. It's been there versus Georgia's defense all season long. So expect to see a little bit more of that this season compared to last season. But we always run that play versus Georgia. And we always have some different wrinkles to our game plan versus Georgia as well. But let's get back to these quarterbacks, right? Because I think that if Gastineau does start, number one, okay, if the referees let us, win this thing fair and square, if everything is fair, I think that the way that Gastineau plays, is, it's very similar again to like a Jackson Dart, where he throws the ball a little bit softer, like it's got more of an arc to it. And I think that our wide receivers need to kind of see that more, especially early on in this game, so that they'll fight for the football. And they need to, have the mindset of, hey, we need to make plays today. Like that might be just enough to get them focused enough for us to, make a difference down the field. But this is a Georgia secondary that we will find success versus, or at least we should, with either quarterback. I don't care what it is. We're going to have people open down the field just like we did last season. I think even more so this season. It's just about hitting them. And Gaston kind of throws it up enough where even if it's underthrown, you come back to the football through a secondary player, for us on offense. That's a pass interference. That's a positive play for us as well. Or again, man, the wide receivers just go up, high point the football, and moss on somebody. That's what I want to see. But either way, y'all, I think that whether it's Gaston or whether it's Nico, Tennessee, if everything is fair, can and more than likely will go down to Athens and beat them, just because we are the better team. We're physically better than them in every single way. Now, the thing about it, that the main reason that I do want for Nico to play is I don't think that the SEC will let us go down to Athens with our backup quarterback and beat them, okay, with College Game Day there, with everyone watching this game, and with Georgia in a must-win situation, because we all know that would definitely eliminate them from the playoffs, no questions asked. And that's the last thing that these conferences want to do. They want to have as many teams make it to the college football playoffs as possible, because it's all about the money. And people didn't realize that. People thought that we were just blowing smoke as as SEC people. It's not just us on this channel, but all SEC people that call out the rest for cheating at this point in the season. But now BYU and Utah saw what happens in these sorts of games. Even the Big 12, they're cheating. We're going to see it from the ACC. We're going to see it from every single conference, because they all do it. You all want to get in as many players as possible. So if Gaston starts, I think that it's going to be almost impossible for us to win, just because the referees are not going to let us do it. Can we still overcome it? Of course we can. You know what I mean? Of course we can. But it's just going to be very, very difficult. So if everything's fair, I think that Tennessee's offense is going to find a lot of success versus Georgia's defense. It's just not a good matchup for Georgia this season by any means. So we'll see what happens. But those are my thoughts. Please leave yours down in the comment section. And as always, please make sure to like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, share with your friends, family, and other volunteer fans. We'll see y'all on the next one. Thanks. Peace.